just make sure this is working. Give it like 30 seconds or so to wait for the camera, not the camera, the phone to pick up the live stream. Because this is how I'm going to see both things at the same time. Just gotta wait for this live stream to begin. We go to this. There we go. It looks like it's begun. Turn the volume down so it doesn't play back on itself. Make sure the volume on the stream is working. It definitely seems to be. We're going to up it a little. So let's try minus 2.2 instead of minus 5, considering I usually up it anyway. But what happens if we have 0.0? I mean, I'm not going to be talking much louder than this anyway. I'm just going to be reading something. I mean, based on the thing, you already probably know what I'm talking about. So I guess I'll start off right here. For those of you who actually, I should introduce myself. Hey everybody, I'm Holly, aka the Scientology Geek, and welcome back to another stream. Today we are going to do a little one-off. It's going to be a decently long one. It's not going to be a short 10-minute one. But we are going to be looking at the email sent out by Debbie Cook. Debbie Cook is now a former Scientologist. At the time that she had sent this email, she was a Scientologist. Sup, Bert Pineapple? What's going on? And during this, she sent out a mass email to thousands of Scientologists at the time. She was working at Flag. And basically this whole email that she sent that we're going to look over is all about why Scientology, according to her at the time, was off policy. It was against L. Ron Hubbard's teachings in the management volumes, as well as what David Miscavige may be doing wrong with the organization. Hey Alex, glad you joined. And without further ado, I think now's the time to get started. Oh, you already know about it. That's awesome, Bert. And I think, oh, by the way, my dog is probably going to interrupt me several times, because right about now is the time where he starts getting fidgety for his food, which he doesn't get for like another hour and a half. But let's do this. So swap over to the reading tab, and we have, Dear Friend, I'm emailing you as a friend and fellow Scientologist. As we enter a new year, it is hoped that 2012 can be a year of great dissemination, which means spreading Scientology, like spreading awareness of it and spreading. Their version of spreading the gospel is called dissemination. And a year of real progress up the bridge. The bridge is the bridge to total freedom. We already know about this for all Scientologists. Although I'm not in the Sea Org right now. Okay, so she wasn't in the Sea Org when she sent this. I served in the Sea Org at Flag, that's the Flag Service Organization, that's the Fort Harrison down in Clearwater, for 29 years. 17 of those years were as Captain FSO, Flag Service Officer, I believe? Flag Service Office. I am a trained auditor and case supervisor, as well as an Organization Executive Course completer, Flag Executive Briefing Course completer, and DSEC. Now, mind you, I haven't read this email myself, so we are also going to be looking up things as we go. So what Data Series Evaluator course? Okay, so we know that she completed the OEC course, the Organization Executive course, the Flag Executive Briefing course, and the Data Series Evaluator course. I kept wanting to say executive. I am completely dedicated to the technology of Dianetics and Scientology and the works of LRH. I've seen some of the most stunning and miraculous results in the application of LRH technology, and I absolutely know it's worth fighting to keep it pure and unadulterated. No squirreling. Give me 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. Hello? Yeah, I'm just streaming right now. So, I'll call you when I'm done. Yeah, later. All right, bye. So, sorry about that. Where were we? My husband and I are in good standing, and we are not connected with anyone who is not in good standing, aka PTSs or SPs. We have steadfastly refused to speak to any media, even though many have contacted us. But I do have some very serious concerns about out KSW, out keeping Scientology working, so she's saying that stuff goes against those policies, or that policy, that I see permeating the Scientology religion. I have the utmost respect for the thousands of dedicated Scientologists and Sea Org members. There weren't that many. Together we've come through everything this world could throw at us, bull, and have some real impingement on the world around us. So impingement is like forcing something, so like basically making an impression. When you impinge on somebody in Scientology, so like when you take the OCA, if you remember my OCA Analyze series, we talk about going after someone's ruin for the sake of impingement. So impingement is getting someone to accept that something was wrong in that case and that they needed to fix it. And that Scientology was the solution. I'm proud of our accomplishments, and I know you are too. However, there's no question that this new age of continuous fundraising is not our finest moment. Okay, so she's going to talk about the continuous fundraising, so possibly for ideal org programs. LRH says in the HCO policy letter of the 9th of January 51, an essay on management, drop no curtains between the organization and the public about anything, so hide no secrets. Based on this policy, I'm communicating to you about some situations that we need to do something about within our religion, within our group. We're also going to load up these policy letters as we go through them. So we got to go to volumes, go to the files, no, green volumes, not red. Index, and it was the 9th of January 51. Chronological. Be nice if this didn't go so slow, but okay. So are we in 50? We're in 59. How did we get that far? Chronological. Wait a minute. As we go down, is it? Okay, 50, 51. An essay on management. That is the only policy letter from 1951. 7567. 7567. An essay on management. Oh, Jesus. This is going to be a big one. Wait. I am... Where is it? 571, right? Is it 570? Okay, so it started on page 567 and goes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 pages. There's no way I'm reading that right now. But I'll put it to the side and we'll take a look at it later. Is the live stream still going? Yes, it is. I don't know why it said it wasn't. But where were we? Actions that are either not covered in policy or directly violate LRH policy, off policy, and tech, out tech, include the extreme over-regging, constantly asking people for money, and fundraising activities that have become so much a part of nearly every Sea Org organization and Class 5 organization, as well as every OT committee. This fundraising is not covered anywhere in LRH policy. Hardworking Sea Org members and the dedicated staff of orgs around the world aren't choosing to do these actions, nor the OTs. I'm sure they'd be more than happy if they could just get on with direct dissemination of Scientology as they've done for so many years. But the truth is that this is being driven from the very highest echelons within the Scientology structure, and clearly there's a lot of pressure to make targets that are being set, upping your stats and making a lot of money for the church. And yes, Sea Org members, certain ones, whichever department you're in, if you're in this department, dealing with the public and constantly trying to fundraise, it's a boiler room, essentially, situation. You're stuck at the phone. You're basically forced to make a quota. The IAS was created unbeknownst to LRH in 1984 by Mark Yeager and David Miscavige. This was supposed to be based on LRH policies. Wait a minute. Yes, this was supposed to be based on LRH policies on the subject of membership and the HASI, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists International. However, the IAS, the International Association of Scientologists, is nothing like the membership system described by LRH, which only has 2 memberships and is covered in HCO Policy Letter the 22nd of March, 1965. Okay. So let's go 22nd of... Nope, that's not search function. 22nd of March. Let's see if we can search through this. Or is it just going to idle? 22nd of March, 71. 71. Let's get to 1965. Which year are we in right now? N. No. Okay, fine. What was it called? Current Promotion and Org Program Summary Membership Rundown. All right, so let's do alphabetical. Go to C. We're looking for the phrase current. What did I just see? Current Promotion and Org Program Summary Membership Rundown. 6805. 6, that's Public Division. Page 805. Is it gonna screw with the scrolling like it did before? So you have the... Yep, it's gonna screw this over again. 605. Nope. How do I keep forgetting what page number? 805. Why does it keep screwing up? 805. Okay, so you have the International Annual Membership is the cash discount membership, which offers a 50% cash purchase discount across the board. Okay. The Lifetime Membership is the credit membership. They can have one of anything on credit, 1 course and 1 grade worth of intensives. It does not seem that this is a thing anymore. But it's good to see her citing policy to prove where Miscavige is taking this down the toilet. He says there are 2 memberships. LRH lists that there's the International Annual Membership, and it gives its cost at £10 sterling or £30 US. He also lists a Lifetime Membership, which is priced at $75 US. I think right now for the IAS, a yearly membership is $250, I believe, for a year, and then a lifetime membership I think is like $2,500 or $5,000. I can't remember which number, but I want to say it's between 2.5 and 5,000. Pretty sure it's 2,500. There are no other memberships or statuses approved or known to LRH. Furthermore, membership monies are supposed to go directly to the org where the membership is signed up and the money used for dissemination by that org in that area. This is covered in the HCO Policy Letter of the 1st of September 1965, revised membership policies. Just like I said, we're going to search for membership policies. And we will wait. Nope, medical liaison officer. I want whole words only. Case sensitive. Show me. 6816. Let's go to page 816. Membership policies. Yep. All right, so let's see what Debbie Cook says about it. I will go over all of these in a later series. I'll make it about the Debbie Cook email, and I'll put this as the first video in that series. It all goes into the HCO book account, the Hubbard Communications Office book account, in the area where the membership is brought and not part of the organization's weekly gross income. Membership monies go to dissemination. Currently, membership monies are held as INT reserves, international reserves, and have grown to well in excess of $1 billion. Only a tiny fraction has ever been spent in violation of the policy above. Only the interest earned from the holdings have been used very sparingly to fund projects through grants. In fact, many of the activities you see at IAS events are not actually funded by the IAS, but rather by the Scientologists involved. Think about it. How many ads disseminating Scientology, Dianetics, or any Scientology-affiliated programs have you seen on TV? Heard on the radio? Seen in newspapers? I haven't seen one in the 4 years I've lived in San Antonio, Texas, the 7th largest city in the U.S. How many have you seen? Donating anything more than a lifetime membership to the IAS is not based on LRH policy. The article, What Your Donations Buy, from the Auditor, the Monthly Journal of Scientology number 51 from 1970, is clearly talking about how the church uses your donations for Dianetics and Scientology services. Next time you're asked to donate outside of services, realize that you're engaged in fundraising and ask to see something in writing from L. Ron Hubbard that this is something he expects from you as a Scientologist. New org buildings. LRH also never directed the purchase of opulent buildings or the posh renovations or furnishings for every org. In fact, if you read the policy letter of the 12th of March 1975, issue 2, the Ideal Org, which is what this program's been called, and nowhere in it will you find $20 million buildings or even any reference to the poshness of org premises at all as part of LRH's description of an ideal org. Instead, an ideal org was one that delivered and moved people up the bridge. Isn't that every org? I mean, I would assume that an org wouldn't need to be ideal to bring people up the bridge. Something that's not part of this ideal org program. LRH says in the policy that an ideal org, quote, would be clean and attractive enough not to repel its public. I mean, that's just called keeping the place clean and not grossing people out or creeping people out. This is all it says about the state of the building. As a result of this off-policy alteration of the Ideal Org policy letter, we have the majority of top OTs, now deemed OT ambassadors, heavily engaged in fundraising activities that include bingo, pirate dinners, knitting classes, hay rides, and many other activities strictly revolving around raising funds for the required multi-millions of dollars to fund their Ideal Org. As part of this, people around every org are now asked to donate to their local Ideal Org instead of their own services or their own bridge. LRH says in the policy letter, Org Ethics and Tech, get rid of distractions from Scientology in your org, babysitting or raffle tickets and such nonsense. Oh, wow, so he even says right here, get rid of that. Yet these distractions are rampant as they're being used as fundraisers to get money for the huge quotas being issued to fund the Ideal Org. If the org slumps, don't engage in fundraising or selling postcards or borrowing money. Just make more income with Scientology. It's a sign of very poor management to seek extraordinary solutions for finance outside Scientology. It's always failed. Well, it seems like Scientology's failing without this outside fundraising. And even with it, a bunch of orgs are still failing. So I love how it says, just make more income. Yeah, you could just bring people in and get bodies in the shop, raw meat, whatever you want to call it. Just magically, you're just going to do it. Like, what kind of management is that? For orgs, as for PCs, solve it with Scientology. Every time I myself have sought to solve financial or personnel in other ways than Scientology, I've lost out. So I can tell you from experience that org solvency lies in more Scientology, not patented combs or fundraising barbecues. Okay, so his solution is double down on what you're doing currently. It's not find a better solution. It's not go with something new. It's take what we already have and just do more. Which I don't know how that helps. The policy from the 24th of February 1964, issue 2, Org Programming, from volume 7, page 930. Thank you for the citation. The point is that Scientologists and OTs need to be training, auditing, and disseminating to raw public, not regging each other or holding internal fundraisers. And that's the thing about Scientology right now, is it's very internally facing. It's constantly asking for money. It's not really reaching out. The only places you may see that are a couple of billboards somewhere in like LA, or during the Super Bowl, Scientology will usually get an ad in places where there are local orgs just to hope people will come in. It's like, oh yeah, what is Scientology? And it just causes people to Google it and find out all of this information. OutTech. Over the last few years, we've seen literally hundreds and hundreds of people who were validated as clear using the Clear Certainty Rundown as developed by LRH now being told that they're not clear. This includes hundreds of OTs who were then put onto New Era Dianetics as a handling. LRH clearly forbid any Dianetics to be run on OTs in HCOB Dianetics forbidden on OTs. Alright, so I'll take a look at that one. This is OutTech. This entire technical handling was directed personally by COB-RTC, David Miscavige, and was done on thousands of OTs. But it was based not on an LRH HCO bulletin, but rather based on a single case supervisor instruction where LRH case supervised one pre-OT who had not achieved the state of clear but was mid-OT3 and not making it. LRH directed a solo handling that the pre-OT was to do to get himself to achieve the state of clear. This LRH case supervisor, taken out of context, was then used to implement a technical handling that was in direct violation of an LRH HCOB. So David Miscavige used this to tell everyone to go further back down the bridge and redo services. At their own expense, of course. The church isn't going to pay for fucking your shit up. This and other technical handlings done on solo knots, its New Era Dianetics for OTs and OT, auditors created great expense and hardship on solo knots auditors around the world as they were made to do these handlings to continue on the level. Then there were the fast grades at Flag that no other org has. If you remember from a very long time ago, we talked about something called quickie grades, which was just speeding through grade 0 to grade 4 and just quickly doing your academy courses or getting through your auditing that way. How can it be that Flag has been delivering grades differently to the rest of the world for the last 3 years? So I think this was either from 2011 or 2013, but it was within the last 10-15 years. Whatever the problem is, the fact is that having fast grades at Flag creates a hidden data line, we talked about that, and is a high crime and the subject of an entire policy letter called HCOPL Tech D Grades, which we've read, which LRH has placed at the start of every Scientology course. Most recently, the fad seems to be that nearly everyone needs to redo their PureF and do a long objectives program, including many OTs that are mid-solo knots. There's nothing wrong with doing objectives, but it's a clear violation of the HCOB mixing rundowns and repairs to have a person mid or rundown or OT level be taken off of it and placed on an objectives program. Solo knots auditors are also being made to get their objectives from a Class 9 auditor at great expense, as they're not being allowed to co-audit. They're not allowed to co-audit. That's... wow. I had no idea. But I mean, if you're gonna audit solo knots, I'm pretty sure you have to be an OT level. You don't have to be an OT level. I thought you had to be a Sea Org member to do this kind of stuff. Flag has made many millions of dollars on the above-listed OutTech handlings because OTs mid-solo knots are forced to get these OutTech actions to be able to get back onto and stay on the level and complete it. Not to mention the spiritual effects of the OutTech that this has on each OT. I myself was subject to these OutTech handlings, including extensive false purpose rundown mid-solo knots. It took its toll in many ways, including physical situations I'm still dealing with today. So I have some of the reality of the hardship caused. LRH command structure. LRH left us with a complex and balanced command structure with our orgs led by the Office of ED International. I think that's Executive Director. Pretty sure, I could be wrong. This office was considered so important that LRH created a special management group called the Watchdog Committee, whose only purpose was to see that this office and the other needed layers of management existed. LRH ED 339, a revised, speaks of this extensively as the protection for our church. But these people are missing, and not just some. As of just a few years ago, there were no members in the Office of EDN on post, not to mention top execs throughout the international management structure, so there were high executives missing. Wow. You may have also wondered, where's Heber, the president of the church? What about Ray Midoff, senior CS International, the one that LRH personally turned over the upper OT levels to? How about Norman Starkey, LRH's trustee? What happened to Guillaume, executive director international? And Mark Yeager, the WDC chairman? What happened to the other international management executives that you've seen at events over the years? People gradually started just fading away. Just started going away. And you ask, you're like, where are they? No one knows. Tim Greenglass, Scientology, Masterson, Scamatology trial in mere days. Popcorn time. I know. I am looking forward to that so badly. I want to see how screwed and how much gets revealed. Lisa Marie Presley being there will attract much needed publicity. Absolutely it will. More people will see what they're doing. And this possibly could help with some kind of FBI or investigation or IRS investigation. Who knows? We don't know what's going to be said, but keep your ears open. The truth is that I spent weeks working in the empty International Management Building at INT. Empty because everyone had been removed from post. When I first went up lines, I was briefed extensively by David Miscavige about how bad all of them were, and how they'd done many things that were all very discreditable. This seemed to explain the fact that the entirety of the Watchdog Committee no longer existed. The entirety of the executive strata, which consisted of Edie Int and 11 other top international executives that were the top executives in their particular fields, no longer existed. That the Commodore's Messenger Org International, or CMO Int, no longer existed. All these key command structures of Scientology International, put there by LRH, had been removed. There were hundreds and hundreds of unanswered letters and requests for help from org staff, written based on LRH ED 339 revised, where LRH says that staff can write to these top executives in the exec strata for help. But this is not possible if all these execs have been removed and no one's there to help them or get evaluations and programming done to expand Scientology. After that, I got to spend some quality time with Heber, Ray Midoff, Norman Starkey, Guillaume, as well as the entirety of international management at the time, who were all off post and doing very long and harsh ethics programs. So I'm wondering if they may have been in the RPF. Correction. The punishment that she is referring to actually comes from the Hole. If you don't know what the Hole is, the Hole refers to I believe it was double-wide trailers on the INT management property, the Gold Base, where David Miscavige sent over 100 executives. The whole goal of the Hole was to get them to confess their overts, their withholds, whatever supposed evil intents or purposes that they had against David Miscavige and Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, whoever. But there was a lot of false confessions purely because of the fact that they didn't think that their confessions were evil enough. So there was a lot of lying, a lot of manipulation, and Debbie Cook, for example. Debbie Cook, while she was in the Hole, had to stand in a tub and constantly have cold water poured over her and wore a sign that said lesbian. Obviously, as you know, Scientology does not like LGBTQ people and considers them 1-1 on the tone scale, which is covert hostility. I'm shaking your hand, but I have a knife behind my back getting ready to stab you. These have gone on for years, and to the only result of that, they are still off post. There's no denying that these top executives have all gradually disappeared from the scene. You don't see them at the big events anymore or on the ship at Maiden Voyage. David Miscavige has now become the leader of the Scientology religion. Yet what LRH left behind was a huge structure to properly manage all aspects of the Scientology religion. He put a complete and brilliant organizational structure there, not one individual. There never was supposed to be a leader other than LRH himself as the goal maker for our group. There's a situation here, and even if you've not been to the INT management base, you should be able to see that over-regging and frequent tech changes are not okay, so like Golden Age of Tech, Golden Age of Knowledge, and now Golden Age of Admin, where they're completely getting rid of the green volumes and redoing them. And you have a responsibility to do something to keep Scientology working. You should be able to find and read the references on membership in OEC Volume 6. Find and read the policy letter entitled The Ideal Org, Data Series 40, which we haven't gotten to yet, but we will. Find and read the references on org buildings, including policy of the 24th of August 65, number 2, cleanliness of quarters and staff, improve our image. Also, policy letter of the 17th of June 69, the org image. If you don't want to make waves or put yourself in danger or being taken off the level or denied eligibility, OT eligibility, then there are some simple things you can do. First and foremost, withdraw your support from off-policy actions. Stop donating to anything other than your own services and actual bridge progress. Simply demand to see an LRH reference that says you're required to make such other donations. No one will be able to produce any references because there aren't any. Stop supporting any of the activities that are being done to forward off-policy fundraising in your area. LRH says what he expects of a Scientologist. This is what he expects you to do. In fact, he put it in the HCOB the 10th of June, 1960, issue 1, Keeping Scientology Working, series 33, What We Expect of a Scientologist. Read it and follow it. The other thing you can do is send this email to as many others as you can, even if you do it anonymously. Please keep this email among us, the Scientologists. The media have no place in this. You may wonder why I haven't written a knowledge report and gone about my business. The answer is I have, but there's no longer anyone to send that knowledge report to. But you can and should write reports and bring off policy to the attention of local org executives and local Sea Org members. We are a strong and powerful group, and we can affect the change. We've weathered many storms. I'm sorry that I'm the one telling you, but a new storm is upon us. Its waves are already in the media and the world around us. The truth is that as a Scientologist, you're more able, more perceptive, and have a higher integrity. Scientology is supposed to allow you to think for yourself and never compromise your own integrity. And most certainly, LRH helped every Scientologist responsible to keep Scientology working. I'm not trying to do anything other than affect a change in serious off-policy actions occurring. My husband and I have most of our family and many, many good friends who are Scientologists. I haven't been real interested in sticking my neck out like this. However, I also know that I dedicated my entire adult life to supporting LRH and the application of LRH tech, and if I ever had to look LRH in the eye, I wouldn't be able to say I did everything I could to keep Scientology working if I didn't do something about it now. We all have a stake in this. It's simply not possible to read the LRH references and not see the alterations and violations that are currently occurring. You have a very simple obligation to LRH. Don't participate in anything off policy, and let others know that they shouldn't either. If every person who reads this email does nothing more than step back from off-policy actions, we would have changed direction. If we took all that energy and directed it into auditing, training, and raw public dissemination, we would be winning. And that is what I wish for you and all of us as we ring in this new year. ARC, Affinity Reality Communication, Debbie Cook. Damn. Okay. That's definitely cited, very well cited, very well quoted from LRH. They have a lot of policies in here that back up her statements. I do know that this email, for whoever it was sent out to, caused quite a bit of doubt in the church. I don't know how many people left maybe because of it, or how many people had seeds of doubt planted in their head because of it. But I mean, getting sent out to 12, I want to say it was between 10 and 12,000 people. You're definitely going to make some waves. The people were told not to read it. People were told that it was full of lies and stuff like that, but there were a ton of people who still read it. So I will proceed to go through this. Maybe I'll do it right now and just take a look at what's available for policies. Amazing. Tom Cruise stayed on in spite of KSW being clearly broken. Yep. I'm surprised. Lol, that email was an H-bomb. Yeah. No kidding, Bert. That email was definitely a good, not the final nail in the coffin, but definitely a way to keep that lid shut. It's not very well known outside of Scientology circles like the Anonymous protests and South Park. But this wasn't really geared for people on the outside. This was geared for people on the inside, people who knew what these terms meant, people who had gone through this thing, people who worked at these orgs and had to do all this constant regging. So I will load up Notepad here, and I will take a look at what we have available. So what did we quote? So we had PL of the 9th of January 1951, an essay on management. We had the policy of the 22nd of March 1965, current promotion and org program summary, membership rundown. We had the 1st of September 1965 R membership policies. We have, what else? the auditor. So I'll put that in. The auditor. Number 51, 1970, called What Your Donations Buy. We had the policy letter of the 12th of March, 75, issue 2, the ideal org. Something that I do remember, LRH talked about exchange. A common thing was exchange, getting money for services. He didn't want people to just give their money away without getting anything in return. So for David Miscavige to do this is blatantly off-source. Outsource, off-source. I'm assuming off-source. Possibly. I don't know. It's either off or out. It's one of those. So we had the policy letter called Org Ethics and Tech. We had the policy letter from the 24th of February, 64, issue 2, called Org Programming. It helps that you put that in, so 7/9/30. We have, what else do we got here? We had the policy letter, Tech Degrades, which we've already read. We have the HCOB mixing rundowns and repairs. I'll see if I can find LRH ED 339 revised. Don't know how easy it's going to be to find executive directives. EDN 339R. So we've got the ideal org. And you also have the policy from the 24th of August, 65. Issue 2. What's it called? Cleanliness of quarters and staff. Improve our image. And we also have the policy from the 17th of June, 69, called the org image. There's a lot here. So we've got the bulletin from the 10th of June, 1960, issue 1, KSW 33, what we expect of a Scientologist. Pretty sure I didn't read that many KSW ones, but if I have to re-add to that series, I'll re-add to it. KSW, and that's about it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 policies. 9 policies, 2 bulletins, 1 LRH executive directive, and 1 article from an issue of the Auditor magazine. There's a lot here to look at, and I can't wait to do this. But it's a little busy right now with the whole schedule, Flag Order Fridays and all that stuff, so maybe I'll throw this in as it comes around, as it comes along. Maybe if I have free time or whatever, I'll throw something in during the week. What do we have over here? Loved the new age of fundraising. Yeah, no kidding. I think Cruz is fully brainwashed, absolutely, and the fact that David Miscavige is his best friend. So he's got some power within Scientology circles, and probably even if he wanted to leave, he's got so much in his sec checks that his career would be ruined if they released it. Debbie was so highly respected. Yes, she was. She was a very well-respected Sea Org member and Scientologist. I can't imagine what her freeloader debt may have been if she had one, or if she didn't even do any services. I'm guessing you've already covered KSW in a previous video, and I missed it. Yes, Bert, if you go to the channel, like if you click on the icon for the channel and you go to playlists, there should be a playlist called Keeping Scientology Working, or KSW. So it will cover that policy letter and a couple of others, a few others. I don't remember how many I had. I think we could check that in my Excel file. I'm pretty sure I had an Excel file somewhere here. Okay, not here. So let's go to videos. Nope. So let's try Google Drive. Let's see what we got. Scientology materials. Yep. By the way, if you wanted any of this stuff, any of the Scientology materials in the folder, I will give them to you. Feel free to shoot me a Gmail address, either in the link to the Discord in the description, which I'll put in a minute, or shoot me an email at scientologeek@gmail.com. Again, I need a valid Gmail address because for some reason Google's weird with all this other external email stuff and has problems with permissions. I just want to thank you guys for joining in on this. And I guess all I have to say left is like if you like the video, dislike if you don't, comment with your feedback or questions, good, bad, or sideways, and subscribe to be kept up to date on future content. I'll talk to all of you later. See ya.